Good morning everyone. Now we are going to discuss BEGE 105, Anne Frank's diary as a literary work. Anne Frank's diary is not a novel or a tale of the imagination. It is a diary kept by a young Jewish girl for the 2 years she was forced to remain in hiding by the Nazi persecution of the Jews of Europe. Between June 1942 and August 1944, from Anne's 13th birthday until shortly after her 15th birthday, Anne Frank recorded her feelings, her emotions, and her thoughts, as well as the events that happened to her. In the diary, which her father had given her as a birthday present, together with her parents and her sister Margaret, the Van Daan family, consisting of a husband, a wife, a son, Peter, 2 years older than Anne, and later on, an elderly dentist named Mr. Dussel, and lived in a set of rooms at the top of an old warehouse in Amsterdam, Holland, concealed behind a hidden door and a bookcase. During the day, when people worked in the office and in the warehouse below, Anne and the other had to keep very quiet, but at night they could move around more freely. Though, of course, they could not turn on any lights nor show in any way that the house was inhabited. The diary is many things at one and the same time. It is an amusing, enlightening, and often moving account of the process of adolescence, as Anne describes her thoughts and feelings about herself and the people around her, the world at large, and life in general. It is an accurate record of the way a young girl grows up and matures in the very special circumstances in which Anne found herself throughout the 2 years during which she was in hiding. And it is also a vividly terrifying description of what it was like to be a Jew and in hiding at a time when the Nazis sought to kill all the Jews of Europe. Above all, Anne was an ordinary girl growing up and eventually dying. But she was an ordinary girl growing up in extraordinary times. She loved life and laughter, and interested in history and movie stars, Greek mythology and cats, writing and boys. In the few entries which she wrote before the family went into hiding, she discovers something of the world of a child growing up in Holland in 1942, and went to school, had girlfriends and boyfriends, went to parties and to the ice cream parlors, rode her bike and chattered, an understatement, in class. In fact, Anne chattered so much that, as a punishment for her talkativeness, she had to write several essays on the subject of a chatterbox. Much of this chatty quality of hers, however, spills over onto the pages of her diary, where we often feel as if she is a good friend who is confiding in us. Although the world of the period is divided from us by more than mere years, Anne's voice is very contemporary, and many of her thoughts and problems are very much like those of any youngster growing up both then and now. Anne Frank did not survive the concentration camp to which she was sent after her little group was discovered. Of all the 8 people who hid in the secret annex in Amsterdam, only Anne's father survived. The pages of Anne's diary, which the Nazis left scattered on the floor when they arrested the group in hiding, were kept by the 2 young women who had worked in the office and had faithfully supplied the little group with food and other provisions. When Mr. Frank returned after the war, they gave him the pages of Anne's diary, and he eventually published them. And so, although Anne died, as the Nazis had intended, her spirit lives on through her diary, stronger and clearer by far than any brute force or blind hatred.